can play Magic.
Yeah, he's been playing Magic since '93. He's an old school Chicago player, familiar face to those in that area, and so these two players are one of them knows Magic. We know that he's been playing for 20 years, and with that knowledge, he has decided that this is the one that plays to his strengths. Logan has not been playing for nearly as long, but found his strengths sooner, and in playing complicated combo decks like this one. And so we're going to have an entertaining Tin Fins versus Omnitel matchup here. Joe Skirmont on the play. He leads off with Preordain, puts one on the bottom, and puts one on top.
Gets a Brainstorm out of that Preordain. Yep. And we're going to see the whole hand here. Gitaxian Probe from Logan is going to show a double Brainstorm, Pact of Negation, Cunning Wish, and a Preordain. So all sorts of library and even sideboard manipulation from the Joe and Tell deck.
The Joe and Tell, because he's Joe Skirmont.
Yeah,
trying anything you can. Now, something important about this this Omniscience sideboard, it runs 3 Cunning Wishes, which allow you to get a card from outside of the game. We'll get back to that, but right now Logan, it looks like he's about to be going off. He went with turn 1 Dark Ritual after seeing that there was no counter spells that Joe can play. Pact of Negation not being really an option here.
Yeah.
Logan is going to Entomb Gristlebrand, and I assume this remaining mana. Entomb allows you to search your library for any card and put it into your graveyard.
Yep, any card, not even a creature card. Doesn't even have to be a creature card.
Yep, any card. Could go get an Unburial Rights, could go get a Life from Galone.
Yep.
In this case, we're going to go get a Gristlebrand. He has 2 mana remaining in his mana pool. With that, he is most likely going to cast Shallow Grave. Shallow Grave, for those of you that are unaware, is a Mirage rare.
You want to put that one up on? We're going to show you guys a little closer look.
That is going to allow him to put the Gristlebrand into play and give it haste. Once it has haste, it's perfunctory from there.
Yep.
Logan's probably going to draw 21 cards and finish off with a Storm Kill this turn. Unless Logan also finds some other piece that he so chooses. Shallow Grave, put the top creature card from your graveyard into play as though it were just played. That creature is unaffected by Summoning Sickness, aka Haste. Remove that creature from the game, aka exile it at end of turn. You know what word doesn't appear in that text box? The word target. So if you have 2 copies of Gristlebrand in your graveyard, your opponent can Deathrite Shaman 1 all they choose.
Ah, very, very important.
But Shallow Grave will still put it into play.
Yeah, because it'll be the top card, whatever's the remaining top creature card from your graveyard.
So Logan has paid 7 life. He found 2 Lotus Petals. He's paying 7 more life to go down to 4.
And you can see they are keeping track of the storm count now, up there with that die. You can see it's up to 5 now.
Yep. The other creatures.
Ritual, Entomb, Shallow Grave, Petal, and now Petal again. That's 6. So
there's an Entomb. This is most likely going to get Children of Corliss, would be my guess. Children of Corliss, a card that you also might not be familiar with.
That's from Time Spiral.
It's a Time Spiral common. Let's make sure that's what he's getting. It's possible he's also just getting the Emrakul. I believe that he is going to get the Children of Corliss first. Nope, he's just going to get the Emrakul.
There you can see Children of Corliss.
That allows him to gain back the life paid from Grizzlebrand. We skipped that step because we had enough Lotus Petals to just go off with Goryo's Vengeance.
Right, Goryo's Vengeance, another card very similar to Shallow Grave.
Similar to Shallow Grave, except for that it does target.
Yes.
Making it the worst of the 2 for what he's trying to do, which is why he only runs 3 of those as opposed to 4 Shallow Graves.
So what that would do is obviously put the Emrakul into play in response to the trigger.
Exactly. Right? Both of those spells are instants, which allow him to put the Emrakul into play with haste, shuffle it into his deck, and then attack for 22 damage. So Logan Creen with a turn 1 win here on camera with Tin Fins.
Yeah, that's legacy.
Yeah, sometimes you have turn 1 wins. I think that might be is that the first one we had on camera today?
I think that's the first turn 1 win. We had a Storm player earlier, had the turn 1 win in hand. Got thought seized.
Jacob Baugh was thought seized by Joe Bernal to take that away. He only had the turn 3 win.
Right, exactly. It was 2 turns later he drew the Infernal Tutor that was thought seized away. Well, a different copy of Infernal Tutor, but that was enough for him to go off on turn 3. But still, these decks are capable of some insane starts if you can't disrupt them, and that's
Let's look at the sideboards here. I was mentioning in Joe's deck that he has Cunning Wish in the main deck. Cunning Wish allows you to choose a card from outside of the game and put it into your, or an instant from outside of the game and put it into your hand. Typically, when you're in constructed matches such as this, that means something from your sideboard. And so much of his sideboard, a full 8 cards, is devoted to that package. The cards that are not part of the Cunning Wish package are Leyline of Sanctity, a 4 of. Not particularly useful here, although that will be able to stop discard spells from Logan. And also 3 Defense Grid.
Right.
He is mostly concerned with discard spells and counter spells, as opposed to out-racing his opponent. Unfortunately, Logan Creen's deck, unfortunately for Joe, Logan Creen's deck is much, much more explosive.
Yeah, as you saw right there in game 1. And for those of you who want to know a little bit more about this deck, Drew Levin actually wrote an article about it just this past week. The title of the article, I believe, was "Let's Get Show and Tell Banned."
Yep.
And
quite the statement. Yeah, and it's an entertaining article. Certainly, this is going to be a player in the metagame going forward. He claims that this is the best show and tell deck, and it's interesting that you probably wouldn't have thought that the best show and tell deck, the best deck of any given format, there's show and tell. Urza Saga Rare, as we were talking in the last round. Lots of Urza Saga Rares, very powerful Magic cards.
It's a pretty powerful
set.
block. Yeah, Saga, Destiny, and Legacy. Legacy, then Destiny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And so show and tell oftentimes will put in Omniscience, which, as you know, is all of the science.
Yes, all of it.
And that gives you access to playing all of your spells for free. At which point you will play the card Enter the Infinite to draw your entire deck and put a card back.
Yes, exactly. You put one card back with the card that you put back
is Enter the Infinite.
Is another copy of Enter the Infinite.
Or Emrakul.
Right, you can use Emrakul as well. Enter the Infinite is one way to do it, Emrakul the other. And then what you do is you use Cunning Wish to find a copy of Release the Ants, at least this particular version, and the version that was described in Drew's article. You find Release the Ants, which is a Clash card from Morningtide.
Exactly. Morningtide, uncommon, part of a Blank the Blank cycle. There was Research the Deep.
Right.
A couple others. There's like Remember the Fallen or Revive the Fallen or something like that.
Yeah. But
and
there you go.
Release the Ants. So you cover your opponents in fire ants, basically.
Yeah.
So you deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and then clash with an opponent. You can take a moment to read Clash. Basically, you reveal the top cards of your deck, and compare how big those cards are in terms of casting cost.
Yep.
If you have an Emrakul on top, well, there's very little beating you.
Most of the time you win, Or Enter the Infinite.
Even with Enter the Infinite, there's very little beating you.
Yeah.
And if you win, you return it to your hand. That means that you just get to cast the card over and over and over again.
Yes, because you're casting it for free because of Omniscience.
Yep.
And so you just release the ants. That's an understatement. You really
you cover your opponent in ants until they're dead.
Release the ad nauseum tendrils.
Older versions of this deck used to have Petals of Insight.
Yes.
To grow an arbitrarily large storm count, and then go Burning Wish for Grape Shot.
Yep.
This version, much cleaner, able to use the Cunning Wishes to go get things like Intuition. And other answers, things like Rushing River to be able to bounce 2 permanents with different names. Or it can go get things like Sapphire Charm. Sapphire Charm, primarily to remove the Batterskull token.
Yeah, this was an interesting interaction. Yeah, go ahead and explain that.
The interaction with phasing, which is a terribly old ability. Basically what it means, if the creature leaves, it doesn't go to any particular zone in general.
Right.
But it takes its equipment with it.
Right.
And so therefore, because it no longer exists, the Batterskull will remain phased out forever.
Right. So when the germ comes back,
the germ will never come back.
Yeah. So you basically permanently phase out Batterskull. You permanently deal with Batterskull with a Sapphire Charm.
So we're underway in game 2 here. Joe Skirmont leads with an island, deciding what he wants to do here. I imagine he has some sort of, if he's deciding if he's playing Gitaxian Probe with mana, or perhaps not.
Yeah, he's a lot of decisions, especially early in the game for these kinds of decks. I mean, they really want to win ASAP.
Joe finds Force Will, very important card for him.
Yeah, the Preordain is going to get him a Force, and I believe that's the pass the turn signal.
Yep.
And off the top for Logan is a Polluted Delta.
Now Logan has 6 discard spells in the main deck.
Uh-oh.
Oh my.
We may be getting started on turn 1 yet again
There's
from
a
Logan
silence.
Creen. Silence.
Silence prevents your opponent from playing spells. So it looks like Force of Will would be the only thing that would stop that. Logan Creen instead is going to crack this, most likely for a Dark Ritual. The Dark Ritual is once again most likely going to play Entomb.
Yep.
And then another Shallow Grave variant, and second verse, same as
at least that's what it's
first.
looking like. I mean, I imagine Logan isn't going off and going to fizzle. It looks like he's pretty confident in his setup here. There's the Entomb for Bristlebrand. 2 mana floating, just like we saw earlier. As you can see, storm count currently 4 with Silence, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Entomb.
Very briefly, I wanted to talk about a couple cards in Logan's sideboard. One of the cards is Serenity, to be able to deal with enchantments like Rest in Peace. The other is Pull from Eternity, which would prevent things like Extirpate and Surgical Extraction from permanently removing all of the Gristlebrands. He can put them right back into his graveyard.
Very interesting. So you see the Shallow Grave was then cast on the Gristlebrand. Gristlebrand's in. He draws 7. We'll see what happens here with these 7 that he drew. It looks like he's going to draw 7 more. Going to fall to 6 here. At least that's what it appears is happening.
Yep. He's going to draw 7 more, and then most likely this Gristlebrand's going to attack, gain 7 more, and then pay 7 more. The 21 cards should be able to dig him into at least 1 more Lotus Petal, and hopefully for Logan's sake, a Children of Corliss, to be able to gain back the requisite number of life.
Yeah, we'll see. Last time he didn't attack with the Gristlebrand.
The Children of Corliss is typically just another draw 21.
Right.
See if he can put it together before too long. Here's Chrome Mox, removing Limdul's Vault. Limdul's Vault allows you to look at your top 5 cards in your library, and if you so choose, you can pay 1 life to put those on the bottom and do it again.
So as you see, the Mox taps for a black, and Dark Ritual Entomb happening for the 2nd time in the same turn here. Logan with 2 floating.
This most likely means Emrakul and Shallow Grave once again.
Yeah, there it is. So Emrakul, trigger on the stack. Shallow Grave's going to put Emrakul into play, and
so I think
Logan's going to say combat at this point, and yeah, there it is. Logan Creen, turn 1.
Turn 1 wins.
Twice in a
on
row.
Camera. Wow. That was impressive. Man.
Yeah.
Well, if there was ever a commercial for playing Tin Fins, that was it.
Yeah. You're against one of the other extremely potent combo decks in the format. In fact, you know, some would say the most powerful combo deck in the format in No and Tell. And you